Hey, what's going on? Class is in session, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ryan Morgan, the creator of the Acquisition Network, and I'm going to go quickly and explain how does acquisition automation work. I know there's a lot of clients and partners that are really interested in the idea of hiring my team to buy businesses for them, but they're like so hung up on the logistics, like how does it work, Ryan? Like, why should I hire your team? Why should I invest my hard-earned cash into your consulting network to complete a transaction? So before I go on the whiteboard and explain to you exactly how it works, I want to just highlight the facts. The facts are 96% of people that attempt to buy a business end up never getting a deal done. These are the people that are buying courses and training programs. And so our thought is, instead of just selling you a course, setting you up to fail, why not give you access to a team so that you have the support to complete the transaction successfully? And so as more and more clients invest into our program, our team is able to grow and our ability to fulfill increases, okay? Providing you the ability to get a profitable business, but it also provides me with the ability to support a staff that's growing. And every deal that we do for you, we get a piece of the upside, we get the case study, we get a percentage of the equity and cash flow. So it's a service that's a true win-win for both sides, and really that the thing that's holding a lot of people back is the gap on us completing the transaction for our clients. As soon as we start getting a bunch of deals done, it's gonna be a no-brainer. We can triple our prices and everyone's gonna be waiting in line for this service. There's not many companies that are offering to help buy businesses on behalf of clients. And I'm very confident when people see the success that our company will have, a lot of people are going to follow. So I just wanted to go over that quickly. So now let's go over how does it work. There's 5 simple steps to buying a business. Number 1, this is the hardest thing that most people can never accomplish, is finding the deal. And so I made a bunch of lines like showing, right now we have 20 deals that we have found, and it's over 51 million in equity available. One of the hardest things about finding a deal is knowing if it's a good business or not, right? So, and then it's also like you could have a business that's profitable, but you need to actually be able to evaluate it and see, like, can you actually replace the owner? A lot of business owners will put their company up for sale, but they don't have a system in place that is replaceable. So as soon as the owner is out, then it's not a business that can be scaled. So this is really, really important when identifying a business, and that's why finding a deal is so time consuming. And so in the traditional model, finding a deal, you have to go on marketplace sites and call a bunch of brokers, put your name, number, and email in, sign NDAs, review financials, and it's a manual process that can take months, if not years, to complete. So after you have dozens of deals in your pipeline, after calling brokers and doing marketing or selling out email letters or whatever, then you gotta know how to vet the deal. Okay, and so if you don't have experience vetting the deals, you're not gonna know what to look for. So for example, Chris, our partner who's done over 140 transactions, he knows exactly what to see, what to look for when picking a deal. It's almost like he's in the Matrix, and he can quickly see the code and pull out the information and put it onto a spreadsheet and know what is good or not. But if you don't have experience, you're gonna get stuck on one deal and you're gonna waste hours of your time, and it's not even gonna be a good business. But when you hire someone that's been doing it for 10 years, he can quickly go, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And so the cool thing is we're moving away from the manual process of Chris being the one that has to identify if the business is good or if the business is bad, because we're developing an AI to automate these processes, right? So the AI is going to find the deal, and then it's going to input our 30-step questionnaire to identify if the business is good, and then it's going to identify yes or no. So these are 2 processes that can be automated through technology. And like I said, this is one of the things that we're raising money for, is to complete our AI and machine learning system so that it's not on Chris or our individual students to identify if the deal is good, okay? So after you find the deal and identify it's good, then you have to secure the financing. So there's 3 primary ways to get financing for a business. Number 1, this is the hardest thing to do for the average individual, which is securing private equity. There's literally billions of dollars sitting in bank accounts, and there's these really, really rich, wealthy equity groups that have capital that are available to buy, but for whatever reason, they're really hard to get a hold of. They have so much deal flow, they have so much going on. The average individual buyer isn't going to have the ability to really get a hold of the average equity group. And so that's why, even though there is so much opportunity in the space, 80% of the businesses listed still don't close, because there's a gap in getting the quality deals to these equity groups. I personally have been working with the equity group for over a year, and he always skips out on meetings, and I'm a 7-figure marketer, and I've got a really big team. So if equity groups are going to miss out on my meetings, and I've got like thousands of videos and proven results and a team and the structure, like what chance do you have as the individual business buyer that's just getting in the space? Almost slim to none. And that's why we created this team system and structure, so that we can become a bigger brand that has more awareness, and the equity groups take us more seriously and take the time to evaluate our deals that we approve. Okay? And so, like I said, equity groups are the hardest ones to get a hold of. That's one of the biggest reasons why we have to grow as a brand and community, so that they take the time to take a look at our deals. Now, when they close these deals, these equity groups, that's what provides the most upside, because that allows us, the community, to get equity in a 7-figure business without having to come up with millions of dollars in down payment capital. Instead, we can invest our money into these processes, which is finding the deal and vetting the deal. And so if we can get really good at finding and vetting, that's going to allow us to present to dozens of equity groups to secure the partnerships. Right now, we're talking with about 12 different equity groups, negotiating different terms based upon the deals that we're able to provide. After the equity group, like I said, like this is really difficult for the individual to do on their own, okay? And so that's why you need a team. Other than equity groups, there's SBA. So this is an easier route to get approved. To get approved on SBA, you need to have good credit, you need to have a good financial history, however, and you also need to sign basically a personal guarantee. So if the business that you acquire fails, that's going to show up on like your credit report. It's going to show up on your home. You can like potentially lose it, and so there's a big risk, and that's what prevents a lot of people from moving forward. Is the idea that you have to take this massive risk, and you don't have experience running and operating a new business. And if you didn't do a good job vetting or evaluating the business, you could end up buying something that wasn't good, and then you lose everything. And so this is a huge risk that prevents people from ever actually taking action, and it also prevents more people who have taken action, who succeeded to complete the transaction. They end up failing because they didn't have the proper systems or support in place. So that's one caveat that you definitely need to consider when getting acquisitions, and that's why I recommend you hire my team, or at least purchase our training. That way you have support when you complete the transaction. So SBA, there's tons of money available in the SBA. There's honestly never been, this is the best time ever to get approved by SBA. There's so much money available. It's just you need to know what to do, and like I said, you need to have the correct team in place to support you. And then, so the third financial model to get funding is partners. So that's just finding other individual business buyers that can team up with you and put some down payment capital in. So I'm calling this like basically crowdfunding. And this is something that we definitely can help you with, because we do marketing to business buyers all the time. And so say you had $200,000, but you needed another 150 or another 300 to close the transaction. The beautiful thing about what our app is going to be able to do is we're going to be able to push out a notification and say, hey, we've got a deal on the table. We've got someone who put some money down. We need this much more money to complete. Does anyone want to join? This is how much equity is on the table. And so this is obviously something that you can do on your own, but if you're not an expert marketer that talks to investors every day, and if you don't have a database of business buyers, it's going to be harder for you to complete transactions on your own. But when you hire us, we can help you with our crowdfunding method to secure you more partners to complete these transactions. So after, just to recap, we found the deal, we approved that it's a good deal. Okay, next. We got the financing out of one of the three methods, private equity, SBA, or through partnerships. Then you need to have the legal. That's a completely separate cost. There's plenty of times where you can draft the LOI and then the deal falls through and you paid money out of pocket for that contract. So the beauty of working with us is we have lawyers on retainer, so we don't have to pay individually for our LOIs. They're compensated on volume because they understand that we're putting a lot of deal flow through the pipeline, so they're happy to work with us because we have that proven track record of generating that deal flow. And so this is an example of another risk that you are taking as an individual business buyer, trying to do it all on your own, because now you've got to pay out of pocket for an LOI and you don't know necessarily if the deal is going to go through, which is a huge risk and unnecessary expense. And so finally, after you get the contract signed, you got the financing, you got everything right, now it's the operations. So most people have a job, right? Most people have some sort of occupation that allows them to maintain an income, and so they're trying to leave that occupation and go into the business, but that's a risk, right? Because you don't necessarily know how to run that business all the way, and you don't want to let go of your job, and so what you need to do first is install a manager. So if you don't have experience hiring and placing managers in companies, that's something that could be difficult for you, and then obviously you need to know how to run that existing business that's already been in place. So you've got to install a manager, that way the business keeps running, and that's the dream that everyone wants with acquisitions. You own a business that you don't actually run, someone else is running it, you're getting paid, you're making sure everyone else is getting their salary, and you just own the whole thing. Right? That's the dream, but it's not as easy as it sounds, because you do have to actually interview, you do have to actually install systems, you have to make sure that the old people don't quit, and you have to hire new people, because that's a whole nother complication that will prevent you from enjoying your life if you have like a job, and then you've got to do all this other stuff, right? You've got to install the manager, install the systems, make sure that everyone stays, right? And these are all things that we're willing to help you with, okay? So after you install the manager, you want to be able to reduce costs. So we're going to be able to help with that, because we're partnered up with a company that specializes in cost reductions. They've helped over 10,000 companies save over $1 billion in revenue with free cost reduction services, these fintech products that save companies money. So, obviously if you don't have that partnership, it'll be difficult for you to do that. So after you reduce the cost, you increase profit. So I know this is why most people want to get in acquisitions, because they're really smart, they understand numbers, they understand finance, and they want to be able to leverage their expertise to grow the company, make it more profitable. But this is the most important thing. It's like, how do you reduce costs, increase profitability? Okay, so after you increase profitability, reduce costs, then you invest in the market. That's a whole other skill set that you may or may not have. Okay, but that's something that we have, right? I'm obviously an expert marketer. I've generated anywhere from 12 to 21x return on advertising spend for the last 4 years on $200,000 spent. And so I can support you on using that increased profit to invest into marketing to grow that entity that you have. We also have partnered up with a marketing fund. So that's another source of capital that you're going to be able to leverage and lend from to invest into your business to make it grow faster and more efficiently after you're able to reduce the cost and increase the profit. And so once you are able to tangibly show a ROAS where your marketing is increasing, then you're in position to resell. You can show, hey, look, I took this company over, I installed a manager, I made it more profitable, I'm investing successfully in the marketing, and then you can sell that business for multiple, and that's where the real wealth is made. That's why people get into acquisition. So imagine acquiring a company for 1.5, you grew it to 4 million, and then you joined, that's another benefit that you get is you have a business at 4 million, we can bundle that with 5 other businesses at 4 million, and you can end up selling that portfolio, instead of for 20, you can sell it for like 35 to a big group. And now everyone gets a massive multiple when you got in for just 1.5. Okay, and so the beautiful thing with our service is you could get in on a $1.5 million business for just $50,000. Okay, and so that's how it all works, right? And so you can do all this on your own, but there's just a 96% likelihood that you're not going to complete the transaction. And so that's why we created this service where we can have a team in place where, just like there's McDonald's and There's one person who flips the patty. There's one person that does the fries. There's one person that does the shake. There's one person that takes the order. And they're able to create a pipeline of machines and process orders in a faster and more effective way. We're doing the same thing, but with acquisition. So just to recap, you have to find the deal, which is a time-consuming, full-time process. Then you have to vet the deal. You have to know if it's good or not. Like I said, these two things can be automated with machine learning. Our bot will be done shortly. After you find and vet the deal, you have to secure financing, and there's 3 different options. You can do private equity, SBA from the government, or you can find partners, friends and family, or you can leverage our community of buyers to support you to complete that transaction. Then you need to complete the legal. You need to have the paperwork to sign it, and that's another cost. And then you have to know how to run the company successfully. So you have to install a manager, reduce costs, increase profit, invest in the marketing, and then resell. So, like I said, these are things that we're all willing to do for you. And as our company grows, as we're able to raise more capital for our consulting team, then we're gonna have more people to support you. So imagine like one day, like a year from now, I'll have a staff of like 20, 30, 50 people in an office, and there's gonna be literally divisions all focused on these different components on acquiring companies on behalf of you, the client. And that's why there's such a massive opportunity for the people who are getting in early now, because when we raise institutional money and we have multiple offices and multiple divisions building this out, the cost of our services are going to increase exponentially. So I hope you got great value learning a little bit more on how acquisition automation works, why we created the service, and how you can hire my team to help you get your first deal done. If you're interested in learning more about how we can help you buy a profitable business, check out our free training, How to Buy a Profitable Business Without Doing the Work, and schedule a free consultation today. The future of doing business is now. Don't get left behind.